In combat, everyone thinks your worst nightmare is a radar-guided SAM locking onto your tail. But ask any veteran Navy aviator and they'll tell you the brutal truth. Real death is waiting for you the exact moment you try to come home. There's a saying in the fleet, landing on a carrier at night is like driving a semi-truck into a pitch-black garage at 150 miles an hour with your headlights off. 4 seconds on final approach, a flight deck that's pitching and slamming against the waves, and in that single blink of your eye, a mistake the size of a blink can turn a $100 million superfighter into a raging fireball, sinking straight to the ocean floor. To understand the madness of a carrier landing, look at the runway. If you're an Air Force pilot, your runway is a luxury. 10,000 feet of solid, motionless concrete. Predictable, where you belong. For the Navy, your runway is a chaotic sliver of steel, barely 300 feet long, and it's actively trying to escape you. That 100,000-ton monster is plowing forward at 30 knots just to generate wind over the deck. The runway isn't even straight, it's angled 9 degrees, pointing straight into the ocean. The deck itself is twisting, slamming, and swaying, a pitching platform that ignores your existence. Imagine redlining a sport bike at 150 miles an hour down a pitch-black highway, chasing a flatbed truck that's swerving in a zigzag and bouncing over potholes. Today, we are zooming in on the human being strapped inside a $100 million titanium box, trying to chase down that twisting, running ship. Think about it. Navy pilots don't land. They execute a controlled crash. A 30-ton fighter jet doesn't have wheel brakes capable of stopping on a wet, 300-foot strip of steel. Try to brake here and you'll skid straight off the edge, into the abyss. So the Navy relies on brute force. Hanging from the tail of the jet is a forged steel claw, the tail hook. Across the deck are 4 heavy-duty steel cables, like deadly tripwires. The goal is to slam the jet violently into the deck and pray that the hook bites into the steel. When it does, all that forward momentum gets absolutely pulverized. Beneath the deck is the arresting gear, a brutal hydraulic monster that yanks a supersonic machine from 150 miles an hour to a dead stop in under 2 seconds. It feels less like parking. It feels like being snatched out of the air by a giant's hand. But here is the counterintuitive part. What if the hook bounces? What if the ship dips at the exact moment you touch down and the hook skips all 4 wires? In the Navy, they call this a bolter, and it is the most terrifying moment in naval aviation. The jet is still screaming toward the edge of the ship and the dark water beyond at full speed. By the absolute unyielding law of the flight deck, the second your tires slap the steel, you don't slow down. You jam the throttle straight to military power. Not afterburner, that would melt the deck and the crew standing on it. You have exactly 4 seconds. Catch the wire and you're safe. But if you bolter, that split-second decision to hit the gas is the only thing that gives you enough thrust to climb back into the night sky, alive. In the 4-second trap, you don't crash and brake, you crash and hit the gas. And remember, doing this in broad daylight is just practice. Daytime landings are just training runs. True naval aviators are baptized in the dark. Ask any seasoned pilot about their worst nightmare, and they'll all give the same answer: the night trap. When you return to the ship at night, the carrier goes completely dark to stay invisible to enemy radar. You are staring straight into a massive, terrifying void. No horizon, no visual reference. Your brain is utterly alone. And right here, your biology betrays you. It's called the black hole effect. Without a world outside your cockpit, your brain loses its perception of distance and height. The human eye tries to adapt by doing something deadly: target fixation. You lock your eyes onto the tiny lights of the ship, and your brain tricks you into thinking you are higher and closer than you actually are. In that fraction of a second, your biology betrays you. Your inner ear screams that you are too high. Your instinct is to dip the nose, to push the stick forward, a desperate physical urge to correct a mistake that doesn't exist. If you trust those lying senses and nudge that stick forward, you aren't flying a landing anymore. You're flying a 30-ton computer straight into a watery grave. That's exactly why the Navy never relies on human eyes alone. They built Magic Carpet, officially called Precision Landing Mode. It acts as the pilot's digital conscience, automatically adjusting flaps and pitch so the machine does the job the lying biology can't. It takes what used to be a deadly gamble and turns it into pure machine-grade precision. But the Navy knows software can fail. You never trust the code blindly. You verify it with physical light. On the left side of the flight deck sits the FLOLS, the Fresnel Lens Optical Landing System. Right in the center is a glowing amber dot every pilot in the fleet knows as the meatball. You have to lock your eyes onto that ball. Don't mistake this for just a bunch of blinking bulbs. This system uses specialized Fresnel lenses to project laser-sharp optical beams. It's a physical yardstick anchored to the perfect glide slope. When that amber meatball drops out of position, it's not a guess. It's a precise calculation showing that your jet is drifting off the optimal glide path. If it drops to the bottom of the lens and turns blood red, your stomach drops with it. A red light means you are dangerously, fatally low. You are no longer aiming for the runway. You are staring down the armored steel stern of the ship. If you don't pull up in the next half second, the back of that carrier will slice your fighter jet clean in half. This is the ramp strike, the most brutal, unforgiving death in all of aviation. In the dark, there is zero room for error. Out there, you aren't just fighting the enemy or the void, you are fighting your own mind. And the margin between a perfect landing and becoming a permanent part of the ship's hull is razor thin. If you think the pilot is the only one landing that jet, you're dead wrong. While the pilot is trapped inside that titanium bubble, wrestling with a lying inner ear and a pitch-black void, there is a human supercomputer standing right on the edge of the abyss. Meet the LSO, the Landing Signal Officer. They aren't safe inside a cockpit. They're standing on a tiny, exposed platform hanging right off the side of the flight deck. No armor, no shield, just them, the freezing sea spray, and a 150-mile-an-hour wind that would knock a normal person overboard in a heartbeat. The LSO is the pilot's guardian angel. They don't just watch the plane, they read its body language. They spot wind gusts before the pilot even feels them. In those final life-or-death seconds, they become the pilot's external brain. When they bark, "Power!" or "Right for lineup," the pilot obeys instantly. No questions asked. It's a level of absolute trust, usually reserved for surgeons and their patients. But if the LSO sees the nose dip just a fraction too low, or a rogue wave slams the deck upward, they don't politely suggest an exit. They scream the ultimate command of survival.
Wave off! Wave off!
When that hits the pilot's headset, the debate is over. You smash the throttle forward and blast back into the night. Instant abort. But the way we land is changing. Enter JPALS, the Joint Precision Approach and Landing System. It's a secure, jam-resistant GPS link that tells the aircraft exactly where the ship is in the dark. But in actual warfare, technology is a fatal blind spot. Imagine a high-end fight in the Pacific. The enemy jams the GPS. They scramble the telemetry. They completely sever the JPALS digital link between the ship and the sky. In a single heartbeat, you are digitally blinded. The screens go blank. You can no longer rely on automated guidance. You are instantly yanked out of the 21st century and thrown right back into the mechanical Stone Age. It's like using Google Maps on your latest iPhone, then suddenly losing signal in the middle of a jungle, and all you're left with is a crumpled paper map. Even with Magic Carpet keeping your jet stable, you can't land if you can't find the ship. The computer wasn't solving the trap, it was just hiding it. When the lights go out and the systems fail, there are no algorithms, no JPALS, no Magic Carpet, no GPS. It is just you, your inner ear screaming at you, that glowing amber meatball in the dark, and the voice of the LSO standing out there in the rain. Technology is the ultimate assistant, but it is not the ultimate pilot. In those final 4 seconds, the machine is just metal. The human being in that cockpit, that is the only override that matters. The wire catches. The 4-second trap is conquered. A violent landing in an instant. There is absolute silence. But do not mistake that silence for safety, because you just parked your 30-ton war machine on the most dangerous industrial floor on Earth. If the landing was a controlled crash, the flight deck is a straight-up industrial minefield. The deck is slick with rain, and even slicker with jet fuel. Just 30 feet away, another jet is screaming at full power, creating a vacuum strong enough to suck a grown man right into its turbines. To your left, it's a 60-foot drop straight into the freezing Pacific. This is the chaotic theater of the flight deck. And right here, the hierarchy flips completely on its head. In the sky, the pilot is the lord of supersonic speed. But when the wheels hit the steel, the pilot is merely a guest obeying orders. The 19-year-old boy in the yellow shirt is the one holding the fate of that multi-million-dollar aircraft in his hands. One wrong move, and that lord will be reduced to a pile of scrap metal. This is the silent choreography of the deck. Words are completely useless against the roar of afterburners. So, they use light. You've got the grapes, the purple shirts, handling the highly volatile fuel. The red shirts arming bombs that could level an entire city block. And the yellow shirts, the conductors of this absolute madness. They stand out there in the pouring rain, barking orders with nothing but glowing wands. When that 19-year-old signals you to turn, you don't question it. You don't ask why. You just obey. Because that kid is the only thing standing between you and a catastrophic collision. It's a profound circle of trust. We call the supercarrier a weapon of war. We talk about its nuclear reactors, its supersonic jets, its global reach. But that's completely missing the point. The true power of this massive vessel isn't found in its hardware. It's found in its ability to bring its people back home, every 45 seconds, in the pitch black of the ocean. The 4-second trap is more than just a landing. It's the ultimate audit of human capability. It's physics, biology, and raw human trust, operating on a razor's edge. The split second that hook bites into the wire, it's a declaration. Before an American pilot ever fires a single shot at an enemy, they have already conquered the dark, the ocean, and their own fear. In your opinion, if the enemy completely neutralizes the technology, would the bravery of a soldier be enough to turn the tide? Or has modern warfare become a game of algorithms? Leave your thoughts below, and we'll discuss.